The morning at St. Mercy General buzzed with the usual chaos of a Monday. Nurses darted between rooms, their shoes squeaking on polished floors. Pagers shrilled, cutting through the hum of voices. Doctors barked orders, their words sharp and urgent. Patients shuffled in, some groaning, others waiting in quiet resignation. The hospital was a living machine, pulsing with purpose. Until it wasn't. Silence crashed through the lobby like a rogue wave. Sudden and absolute. A German shepherd stepped through the automatic glass doors. No leash, no owner, no sound but the soft drip of blood hitting the floor. On his back lay a little girl, her body limp, her clothes soaked crimson. His eyes fierce and focused, locked straight ahead, not wild but desperate, pleading for someone, anyone, to act. A pen slipped from a nurse's hand, clattering on the tile. A doctor froze mid-sentence, his clipboard forgotten. Every soul in that crowded room felt the same gut-wrenching truth. Something was terribly, horribly wrong. What happened next would leave the entire hospital in tears. A story so raw and gripping, it could only belong on a channel like MidnightTales, where the extraordinary meets the unforgettable. The dog moved with purpose, his paws steady, as if he'd mapped the hospital's layout in his mind. He didn't bark, didn't whimper, didn't falter. The girl on his back, no older than 7, was unconscious, her small frame disturbingly still. Blood matted her blonde curls, staining the dog's fur where her body pressed against him. The lobby, packed with patients, staff, and visitors, stood paralyzed. A security guard, hand on his radio, hesitated, unsure whether to approach or retreat. A mother in the waiting area pulled her child closer, her eyes wide. The air grew thick, heavy with questions no one dared voice. Who was this girl? Where was her family? How did a dog walk into a hospital carrying a dying child? The scene was surreal, a moment so unreal it felt ripped from one of MidnightTales' most haunting narratives. The kind that keeps you up at night, scrolling for answers. Nurse Karen, a veteran of St. Mercy's chaos, was the first to move. Her hands trembled, but her voice was steady. She crouched low, meeting the dog's gaze. "It's okay, buddy," she whispered. "I'm here to help." The German shepherd's lips curled, a low growl rumbling from his throat, not anger, but fear, raw and protective. He stepped back, just enough, his eyes never leaving her. Karen reached for the girl, her arms gentle but swift, lifting the child's fragile weight. The girl's skin was cold, her breathing so faint it barely stirred her chest. Pediatric emergency. Now? Karen's shout shattered the silence, jolting the staff into action. Nurses scrambled, a gurney appeared, and the girl was whisked away, her blood leaving a trail on the floor. The dog tried to follow, his paws slipping as he lunged toward the closing doors. He didn't bark, but his eyes screamed, locked on the girl as if she were his only purpose. In the trauma bay, chaos took over. Dr. Simmons, a seasoned pediatric surgeon, leaned over the girl, his face grim. Her pulse was thready, her heartbeat a weak flutter. "She's hypothermic," he muttered, his gloved hands moving fast, checking wounds. Blood seeped from a gash on her temple, and bruises bloomed across her arms. "We're losing her," he said, his voice low, meant only for the team. Monitors beeped erratically, their shrill warnings filling the room. Outside, the dog, now called Scout by a nurse who'd seen his unwavering focus, spaced the hall. His nails clicked on the tile, a restless rhythm. Every time the trauma bay doors swung open, he surged forward, only to be stopped by a gentle hand or a security guard's leg. He didn't snap or growl, but his body was tense, his eyes fixed on the sliver of light where the girl lay. One nurse, a young woman named Sarah, couldn't take it. "Let him in," she told security, her voice breaking. "He's not leaving her." The guard hesitated, then nodded. When the doors opened, Scout didn't run. He walked, deliberate and calm, straight to the girl's side. He sat, his gaze unwavering, as if the tangle of wires and machines were his only hope to keep her alive. No one knew who the girl was. Her clothes, torn and dirty, held no clues. No wallet, no ID, nothing but blood and fabric. A nurse checked Scout's collar, hoping for answers. The strap was old, worn thin, with no tags, no chip, no name. Security pulled the footage from the hospital's exterior cameras, and what they saw sent chills through the room. The dog had emerged from the woods behind St. Mercy, the girl carefully, balanced on his back. He'd walked with purpose, never faltering, as if he'd done this before. The footage showed no one else, no owner, no pursuer, just Scout and the girl, moving through the dawn's gray light. Authorities were called, and a search began. Police and rangers fanned out into the woods, following the path Scout had taken. An hour later, they found it, a hidden campsite, barely visible under the trees. A torn tarp flapped in the wind, cold ashes sat in a makeshift fire pit, and blood stained a nearby log. A cracked phone lay in the dirt, its screen dark. Beside it, a single child's shoe, scuffed and small, matched the one on the girl's foot. The scene was a puzzle, grim and incomplete. The kind of mystery that would spark 1,000 theories on MidnightTales, each more gripping than the last. Back at the hospital, the girl clung to life. Scout never left her side, his presence a quiet anchor in the storm of machines and voices. Hours passed, each minute heavy with tension. Nurses whispered about the dog, about the way he watched her, as if he understood every beep, every suture. Dr. Simmons worked tirelessly, stabilizing her condition, but she remained unconscious, her small body fighting against the odds. Just before dawn, a sound broke the silence, a tiny, trembling whisper. "Scout." The dog's ears perked, his head snapping up. He rose, slow and careful, and rested his muzzle on the bed. The girl's eyes fluttered open, weak but alive. Her lips trembled as she spoke again, her voice barely audible. "He saved me." Tears welled in the eyes of every nurse, every doctor, every soul in that room. It was the kind of moment that would light up Midnight Tales, a story of loyalty and courage that hits you right in the heart. A psychologist was brought in, sitting gently by the girl's side as she began to speak. Her name was Lily, she said, her voice halting. She'd been taken from her home by a man who claimed to be her uncle. He'd driven her far, to a place where the trees were thick and the world felt far away. At first he was kind, but in the woods he changed, he yelled, his voice sharp and cruel. When Lily cried, he hit her, his hands leaving bruises on her skin. Scout, her dog, had been with her, a loyal shadow. He barked, growled, tried to shield her, but the man struck him too. Lily remembered falling, the world going dark, but Scout never left. When she woke, she was on his back, the forest blurring past as he carried her through the night. He'd found the hospital, somehow, some way, and brought her to safety. Dr. Simmons later said it was a miracle she'd survived. 30 minutes later, and she wouldn't have made it. Scout, battered and bruised himself, had walked miles to save her, a hero in fur whose story deserved to be told on Midnight Tales. The police moved fast. The next day, they found the man at a nearby bus station, his backpack stuffed with Lily's belongings, a stuffed bear, a small jacket, her second shoe. He didn't resist, didn't speak, just stared at the ground as they cuffed him. The news crews descended, cameras flashing, microphones thrust toward anyone who'd talk. They wanted the story of the dog who saved a girl, the mystery that unfolded at St. Mercy, but Scout didn't care about the headlines or the reporters. He only wanted Lily. When child services arrived to take her into emergency care, she clung to his fur, her voice firm despite her fragility. "Scout comes with me," she said, and no one had the heart to argue. The nurses wept as they watched them go. Scout's tail wagging for the first time, Lily's hand resting on his back. It was a bond no one could break, a story so powerful, it could only belong on Midnight Tales, where heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they have paws. The hospital returned to its rhythm, but the story lingered. Nurses shared it over coffee, patients whispered it in waiting rooms. Scout and Lily became legend, a tale of loyalty that spread far beyond St. Mercy's walls. On Midnight Tales, it would be more than a story, it would be a testament to courage, to love that defies explanation. Scout wasn't just a dog. He was a guardian, a beacon in the dark, carrying Lily to safety when the world failed her. The woods held their secrets, the man faced justice, but the heart of it all was a German shepherd who refused to give up. His story, Lily's story, would live on, told and retold, a reminder that sometimes, in the silence of a hospital lobby, a hero walks in on 4 legs, and the world is never the same.